Hey crafty peeps, I'm Lisa, your dollar mom, and today's video is all about Patriotic. And I had a really good time with this DIY, and I hope you like it too. And I'm also excited because today is a collab with Heidi Sonboul, and I will on the next slide here show you her channel and all the wonderful things she makes. So make sure you go check her out. And again, I hope you will like, subscribe, and hit that bell so you see all of my videos. And if you came over here from Heidi's channel, please let me know below. All right, let's get started.
Heidi is such a sweetheart. She is doing a series this summer where she showcases smaller channels that just need a little extra love, and that is so sweet. Check out her channel. You will not be disappointed. There's so many amazing DIYs. For the first project, I'm going to take this home sign from the Dollar Tree. I'm going to take some scrapbook paper that I picked up from Joann's and a scrap piece of wood that I just had in my stash. And then I'm just going to paint that piece of wood with a darker red paint. And I want a really thin layer because I kind of want it to look almost like a stain and more rustic. Now I just grabbed a baby wipe just to kind of wipe off some of this excess paint. You can use a Clorox wipe, you can use a wet paper towel. It really doesn't matter which one, just something with some moisture that can wipe up the extra paint. Now I'm going to take this home sign and I'm going to go ahead and break apart the letters. They break apart pretty easily. At first I leave the little prongs in there thinking that I'm going to keep them to put everything back together, but then it ends up being better just to kind of take the little metal pieces off the two letters that have them. So now I'm just going to trace around my letters onto my scrapbook paper. And this first one, I'm not sure why I was doing it the hard way and tracing on top of the pattern. I normally always flip it over and do on the back, so I definitely recommend that, and I do that on the other letters. So you just pick out your print for each letter, trace it, and cut it out. And this is the part that I previously mentioned. I just take my needle nose pliers and I just kind of pick out those little pokey prongs that were originally holding this together, because when I attach it later on, I really didn't need those. And now it's time to Mod Podge these papers onto the letters. And something you're going to learn about me is that I am a scrapbook paper addict. The amount I have, I could easily open a store. I absolutely love the patterns. I love mixing patterns. So you'll probably see a lot of this type of stuff in my videos. I just really think it adds something extra than just painting it. Now with this project, you absolutely could just paint these letters red, white, and blue. But again, I love patterns, and this paper from Joann's, I think it was 4 for $1, so really affordable, and yep, I just love it. Real quick, I want to show you this pen Exacto knife. And so it's a really tiny blade, kind of like you would find in your Cricut. So you can cut more like circle with it. And honestly, I forgot I had it when I was cutting out my O. Alright, so I wanted to make a saying to go on the bottom of my sign. And so I came up with home of the free because of the brave. And I just made that on my Cricut. And real quick before I do that, I just sanded down the edges of my home sign, and this just gets off any extra paper. It also just gives it a little extra rustic farmhouse look. You can use sandpaper, but I find that I really like just using a nail file. It's really easy to hold and do around the letters. I'm new at using vinyl with the Cricut, and I really appreciate the tips that I got on my last video. They were really helpful, and that was to put your image upside down when you're peeling it off, and that worked so much better. So that's all I do right here, and I mean, what a big difference it was just by flipping it over. So again, I so appreciate tips. Please comment with tips whenever you might have one, because I will probably use it. Now it's time to glue my letters back together. Now, one thing I want to mention, you want to make sure the bottoms of your letters all line up so they are flat. I kind of missed the mark a little bit on the M, so just really make sure that when you're putting it on, you hold the letters vertically to make sure, again, that the bottoms are all flat in the same level. I'm just going to quickly sand around my base. I just again want to make it even more of a rustic feel. And now it's time to attach the home letters onto the base, and then the project is complete. This is one of my favorite projects that I've made this season. Has a little special place in my heart as my son has just joined the military as well. For this next project, I'm going to use 2 of these unfinished wood tags. I'm going to use these unfinished wood letters from the Dollar Tree, some ribbon that I've picked up, and I actually found quite a bit at Hobby Lobby in clearance, so that was nice. Some navy blue paint, some Mod Podge, and again, the same scrapbook paper that I used in the last project. I picked up 2 sheets of everything. Now for these wood tags, my sister purchased something in bulk and I got them from there, but you can purchase them at Michael's and Joann's. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to paint my wood letters, and I spell out God bless the USA. Now you're going to need 3 packages of these from the Dollar Tree because they only have 1 of each letter, and when we say bless and USA, that's 3 S's. But you will have a lot of letters left over for lots of other projects. So I will go ahead and I will magically paint those navy blue. Now I'm going to decide how I want to lay out my scrapbook paper. Scrapbook paper is typically 12 by 12 and these are taller than that, but that's okay because I actually wanted to mix the patterns. And so I just kind of play around with how I want the papers to look. And then I'm just going to trace them out on these tags and cut them out and just add them on with some Mod Podge. Now I'm going to use a paper trimmer to cut because it makes nice and straight lines, but of course you can use scissors, but as a paper crafter, this is a must tool. Whenever you Mod Podge, make sure that you do a nice thin layer so that you don't get it overly wet. That's how you're going to get wrinkles in your paper. And just be extra careful. Always when you're pressing down your paper onto your Mod Podge, make sure you press from the center out. I do get a little bit of a bubble on this one, and that was because I was being a little bit more impatient. The more patient you are, the flatter and more smooth your project will be. Typically, when I Mod Podge, I will set the project aside and work on something else while it's drying. But for the purpose of this video, I go ahead and I use my hairdryer just to get it going so I can get on to the next step. Putting the Mod Podge over the top of your project is definitely a optional thing. I thought this might go on my front door, so you definitely want to have it covered by the elements. And I'm using a matte finish. I really like that kind of a finish. I'm not a big fan of glossy, so it's up to you what your choice is. But again, I'm just going to cover both of my pieces so that I can put this outside. Now I'm just going to flip over the boards and find the hole there and just punch those out, and then I will line up those holes so that this can be a hanging tags. I'm going to go ahead and space out my letters here, decide where I want them, and then I will glue them on. I'm going to go ahead and glue these two tags together. Otherwise, they would probably just, one would be on top of the other one when it hangs. So this will just help them hang exactly how you want it to look. I'm not sure what you call this kind of bow, but I use it a lot when I have some really fun patterns and they're not wire. And so it's just a way to, like I said, use a bunch of different patterns because, as I've said before, I love mixing patterns. So I go ahead and I decide how big I want my bow, and I cut 2 of each colors of the ribbons, and then I'm just going to lay them out in an X and just kind of alternate what the direction is, and that is going to be how I create this bow. Now I'm going to take some of this jute twine, and I'm going to, this is before I make my ribbon, and I'm going to feed it through the hole and make a hanger for this. And then I'm going to cut another little piece, and I'm going to lay it underneath all my ribbons, and that's going to be how I tie my ribbon together. Now I'm going to finish the ends of my ribbon to make them look nice. And I have a question for you guys. When you do this cut, do you guys call it a duck tail or a dovetail or something totally different? I started to say one thing and then I started questioning myself. And so now I'm not even sure what these kind of tails are called. But on my bigger ribbons, I do this type of cut, and you just do that by folding it over you go somewhere in the middle and then you cut down to the corners and it makes this nice edge. If my ribbons are skinnier, then I just do a slanted cut just so they don't fray. And now that the ribbon is complete, I will just go ahead and hot glue this down. And if you want just to make your bow stay exactly how you like it, you can just put little dots of glue between the pieces of ribbon so it's not quite so floppy. But I kind of like that look, so that is what I did. And I just love the way this turned out. Again, I will link down below Michael's and Joann's where you can get these tags. Again, don't forget to click the link below to go see Heidi's video today, and go back every Monday through Friday and check out all the new channels that she is supported and highlighted. I have a couple more patriotic DIYs for you, so I hope you will subscribe and hit that bell so you do not miss those. All right, I will see you next time.